Live, we're getting out there. I've just finished my meditation, getting into it, talking about some motivation, some meditation, some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Today we're going to go ahead and start getting down with the ability to overcome challenges and the ways in which we overcome challenges. So, today as I was sitting there doing meditation, I started to realize that the challenges that we go through, the things that we're going through on a daily basis, the things that we're facing off against, they come from within. They come from a place where we have a choice to either choose to feel at peace, to feel a mentality, to feel an ability within ourselves, to have that place to overcome those challenges. And during that time, we have the ability inside of ourselves to find that time as a positive place. You see, and so as we start doing that, as we start setting ourselves aside time, as we start clocking in, the challenges that the people that come along our journeys, the people that come into our paths that start to ask us those types of questions, can we stay positive, right? And so not always the challenges that you face off against are meant to stop you. Sometimes the challenges are meant to help you to grow. And so when you start to feel peace inside of yourself, when you start to understand that putting yourself in a positive place, putting yourself in a positive mentality is within you. You see, it's when you're facing off against challenges and you start connecting positivity towards them. You start putting them in a place where you start to give yourself the upper hand. You start to give yourself the ability inside of who you are. And, we ask ourselves that question on a daily basis. Is it possible? Can you overcome your challenges? Can you truly sit down inside of who you are? Can you start to get to the place where you truly start to grind, where the person inside of who you are starts to overcome? And so here we are in this place, here we are in this time, okay? And, I'm looking at this day, I'm looking at this ability, and I'm saying, I'm completely at peace with the challenges that I faced off against. I'm looking back at this last year as a victory. I'm looking back at this last year as the ability to overcome things, the challenges, the things that I've had to work through, and I really rejoice it. I've had from friends dying to people coming into my life, to people exiting my life, and at the same exact time recognizing that they're all a part of this process of finding peace, right? And so how do we start to focus into that? How do we start to focus into that ability to utilize that? And, I started to recognize that, it's not easy, okay? It takes your mentality, it takes your ability inside of who you are to start to believe in yourself, to start believing in your ability, and I see the growth here. I'm nearly 5,300 members later. Motivation, meditation, inspiration's growing, and I got my Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, and every single day I'm seeing an expansion. I'm seeing an ability to overcome. I'm seeing challenges. I'm seeing places. I'm seeing mentality within. And I'm telling you, it's worth it. I'm telling you, spending your time on yourself, spending your time, giving yourself a little bit of time each day, giving yourself a place to give yourself an upper hand when other people are not, does a lot for you. I'm telling you that what I'm going through today isn't going to stop me. And that when I focus and when we use that kind of mentality, when we start utilizing that kind of ability inside of ourselves, I was sitting there today and I was doing meditation, and normally we look at the whole lake, we look at the ability of those things, but yet sometimes we forget the beautiful ducks that are, the wind that's blowing, the sun that's radiating downwards. Sometimes we can utilize those things as energy. We can actually utilize those things as fuel. And so as we start to fuel ourselves in that direction, Are we doing that in our daily? Are we giving ourselves that ability to have a more wealthy mentality? And you see, that's where change happens. It happens inside of yourself. It happens inside of your being. It happens when you start to put yourself in a place where you start utilizing the things that you do have, and you stop focusing on the things that you don't have. You know, what is it that you got? What is it, the skills that you can do? What is it that you can put yourself in a place to utilize the being that you are inside? And how do you start to utilize it? You know, a lot of us have a lot of things that we feel like other people are in charge of. When you start becoming in charge of yourself, when you start becoming in charge of your mentality, when you start becoming in charge of your emotions. And so as I was sitting there and I started to recognize that there was more wealth around, that there was more ability within, that there is ability to vibrate and to understand. And, you know, as I was sitting there, as I started to do my vocal meditation, you know, it's interesting as I was sitting there and I was being reminded, you know, yesterday I had somebody who left a Facebook quote that said, you know, when you're looking at this guy's stuff, recognize that there's people that are better than him out there, that he's not real. And here I am sitting there on the lake doing real meditation, doing real breath work, putting the time in, putting the place in, and see that positivity, to know that, you know, I left no response for that person. I just deleted and blocked the person because they're not worth it. So are we doing those type of things? Do we let those things that other people say affect us or bother us? You know what I'm saying? When we're focusing to that level, when you know what you're doing, okay, when you know your skills, when you know your abilities, when you are so focused into positivity that the ability for it to come outwards comes from within you. And you see, when we're utilizing that, you know, as I started my day, I had to put 7 shakes together. You know what I'm saying? And here we are focusing today. We're getting out there, we're grinding again. I'm getting ready to go deliver food. You know, it's such a wonderful joy to get out there. You know, I really enjoy doing this Uber Eats stuff. I really recognize with the downtime that utilizing this, getting back out there and getting grinding is what I enjoy. You know, part of who I am is focusing. Part of who I am is overcoming. It's putting ourselves in a place where we're getting the upper hand in our lives. And so I ask you the same question. Are you doing that? Are you vibrating in a direction? You know, I was listening to some motivation yesterday and came across some quote somewhere that went something like this: what you focus into, you vibrate outwards. If you focus, you're calling it in. What is it that you're calling in? So I want to call in greatness today. I want to tell you that if you're hearing this message today, if you're in this place, if you're vibrating from this place and you're looking at a way to get up, start focusing in that direction, putting yourself in that kind of beacon, putting yourself in that kind of place where you have the ability inside of who you are. And so here we are today. You know, we're getting out there, we're getting it done, we're getting focused on it. You know, I'm going to have a lot of great deliveries to do today. I'm going to get out there, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get on top of it, and I'm going to get it done. You know, I already spent the time, sat down, did the meditation, got into the place, utilized the ability within. And so are we utilizing this? And how do we start our day like that? You know, and it's a lot of people that are forgetting that you are a gift. You know, your challenges are the ability to overcome them, the ability to continue to be positive, the ability to continue to grind, the ability to continue to get within yourself, to get within your being, to get within your vibration. And here we are today. We're out there getting it done again, you know, getting out there on this grind that we call life, you know. And so as we focus, you know, as we sit down and we start to understand, we start to become aware of our process, we start to become aware of our ability, we start to become aware of the person that we are inside. See, that's the thing that I asked you all. Are you aware of yourself? Are you aware of your talents? Are you aware of your skills? Are you aware of your mentality? Are you utilizing the gifts that you have inside of who you are? And so that might be a little bit of thought to look at today. It might be, you know, today you might see, hey, I really am gifted at who I am. I really am gifted to overcome my challenges. I really am gifted to utilize what I have inside. And so here I am in front of my computer punching in. I'm in the car getting ready to grind. I'm getting ready to get on that mentality, getting myself pumped up, getting into it. And I'm here talking to you guys today, and I'm talking about motivation. I'm talking about meditation. I'm talking about inspiration. Because if it's not one of the three, what is it? You hearing what I'm saying? And so when I was in that place and I was in those different positions, it was all in the same place right now where the mind is. And so if you might be going to work today, you might be in a place, you might be hearing this message, you might be going through these type of things. But if you believe in yourself, if you give yourself the ability to get out there, if you give yourself the ability to get it done, then you deserve the results. And the people that are not doing that don't. It's quite simple. And so how do we put ourselves in a place of positivity? How do we start building it in such a way that we have the ability to overcome it? How do we get to that place where we start utilizing that kind of mentality? And so one of those ways that I utilize on a daily is to sit down and study myself, to sit down and focus to the point where the student inside starts to come out, where the student inside starts to open up. There's many different ways. There's places in your profession, right? So yesterday I was out grinding and I was, delivering food. And, they had the quest and stuff like that. And, they had the dollar amounts. And so when do you enjoy the process? When do you put yourself in the place where you enjoy the position? I remember when I was working for Chrysler, one of my friends, Francisco, he asked me, what do you want to be a manager? Would you take the position? And I told him I would only take the position if I was given it. I wouldn't just take a position from somebody else because I want to earn it, because I'm willing to work through the process, because I'm willing to get down with the grind. And, I remember that story yesterday. I remember being out there and delivering food. And, as I continued to work, I started to see the puzzle pieces coming together. I started to see the day starting to get great because I decided that the mentality was greater than the challenges that I was facing off against. When do we start to focus on that way? When do we start to utilize the gifts that we do have and stop focusing on the things that we don't have? And so this message might be for you. It might be today that you hear this message, that it starts to uplift you. And so are you able to fulfill the positions that you take on? Are you able to take something on and overcome your challenges? And so I'm sitting here right now and I'm looking at this time. I'm looking at all the successes and failures, and I'm seeing them moving me forward. I'm seeing the ability to overcome those kind of challenges. And I want you to see that kind of reflection of motivation. I want you to become that kind of manager. I want you to become that kind of employee. I want you to become that kind of companion. I want you to become that companion with yourself, that when you choose to do something, you do the best that you can, that the focus that you have inside becomes worth it, that the challenges that you're taking on, you overcome. And so here we are. Here we are in this place. Here we are in this ability. Here we are in this mentality. And you see, this is what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about your being. I'm talking about your vibration. See what I'm saying? And here we are talking about it. And are we doing something about it today? Are we putting ourselves in a place where we have that ability within who we are, where we believe in who we are? You hearing what I'm saying? You hearing what I'm kicking? Are you focusing to that point where you believe in yourself, where you're going to places where you're giving it your best, where you're giving it your ability inside of who you are? And what are you vibrating outwards? What are you calling in towards yourself? Are you allowing the positivity to start to take shape? Are you allowing it to take a mold, to take an ability from within who you are, that you have what it takes? And you see, a lot of people don't do that for themselves. They don't give themselves that place. They don't give themselves the ability to overcome their challenges. Why? And the reason why is because they haven't taken the time to be patient with themselves. They haven't taken the place side of who they are to believe in them. They haven't sat down with their books. They haven't sat down and started to study themselves even. Reading, writing, math, all those things are important. Do we utilize the ones that we have? You know, a lot of us, we learn from school. We learn from things. We go to a place to study. But do we use it in our lives? Do we utilize it in our abilities of who we are? And so here I am today kicking this word out. I'm kicking this ability out towards you. You know, I remember sitting at desks and sitting in meetings on Fridays, you know, asking myself, why am I doing this? And here I am looking back and saying, now I'm doing this every freaking day. I'm telling you it's worth it. I'm telling you, when you focus, you overcome challenges. I'm telling you get to keep the results. And what are those results that you want to keep? What are the things that you want to overcome? What are the things that you want to become? And so how do you start to focus in a way, you know, because you're going to call what you're looking out for, what you're looking into, what you're putting out there, you're going to bring in. And so are we manifesting it? Are we putting it into a vibration? Are we putting it into an ability inside of who we are to where we start to believe in ourselves? Where we start to believe in our abilities. We start to believe in our mentalities. And, you know, so here we are in a place of focus, all right? And that's the question I ask myself every day. Am I doing that? Am I focusing? Am I truly putting myself in a place where the challenges that I'm facing off against, I have the ability to overcome? You know, are you doing that today? Are you hearing this message? Are you across the multiple platforms, across the multiple places within the world, within the vibration of who you are, within the vibration within your being, within the vibration within your focus, where you're becoming a manifestation? And so here we are focusing, looking at different ways, you know, praying to the Most High, asking the Most High to gift us, to challenge, to face off against challenges. But are we doing it on our own? Are we utilizing those gifts when they come? Are we utilizing the abilities that we have? Are we being grateful for the things that we have, the challenges that we're facing off against, the blessings that we have? Do we go to the positions? Do we have the billionaire mentality, the ability inside of ourselves to shut off the things that aren't meant for us? Okay? And to go to places and only to invest that type of energy. You know, what if you went to your position and you focused? What if you went to your position and you overcame? What if you went to your position and you utilized that? And you left your emotions for your families? You know what I'm saying? We can do this. We can create a more beautiful world. We can create a more beautiful place for us all to live. But we got to build it together. We got to start asking these questions. We got to start asking, is what I'm doing today isn't motivating? Okay? You know, a lot of people say, I just can't get motivated. But are you focusing to the point where you deserve the results of motivation? Where other people see you so focused that they see the strength inside of you radiating outwards. Okay? See what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't spend that kind of time. They don't spend that kind of energy. They don't want to sit down. They say it's too difficult. Okay? As I'm sitting there in meditation, as I'm sitting there in full lotus next to the lake, and my legs start swelling. Okay, am I going to stop or am I going to continue? You know what I'm saying? As you're in position and it feels difficult, as your back starts hurting, as your body starts to say, I don't know if I can do this, will you continue to focus? Will you continue to grind? Will you continue to put yourself in a place where you give yourself the ability to overcome your challenges? Will you start to believe in yourself? Will you start to believe in your ability? Will you start to recognize your own purpose? You hearing what I'm saying? All right. Let's talking about studying, okay? Let's start talking about how we can study. You know, what are the skills that you have? What are the things that you use? Did you learn anything in school? Did you learn any abilities? Did you utilize anything that you have? Are you able to utilize your gifts? Are you able to utilize your talents? And what are those talents? How are you going to be able to know that if you don't write it down? How are you going to be able to learn that if you don't see the challenges that you're facing off against today? How are you going to be able to do that unless you put it in front of yourself in such a way that you start to study? Okay? So that's the reason why I start talking about why it's important to write stuff down. Because how are you going to get the upper hand unless you're doing that? Okay? How are you going to get the upper hand unless you're giving yourself the place to have that kind of mentality? You know what I mean? And so that's the reason why we write stuff down, is so that we can overcome it. So that when we're going through challenges, we can remember the challenge. We can remember the procedure. See, a lot of people get emotional at work when they forget the procedures themselves. They get emotional at work when they lose the real focus, when they lose the ability inside of themselves to overcome the challenge, and they forget that they all were students at one time. They all had to learn something at one time. Instead of doing that, why don't we just reverse engineer it and start taking it from there? Why don't we start taking it from the gifts that we have, from the opportunities that we have, from the challenges that we're facing off against today? You see what I'm saying? They're all connected, okay? They're all part of the same universe. They're all part of the same process and processes. But are you able to truly utilize your being, is what I'm saying. Are you able to sit down and to grind? Are you able to sit down and to manifest? You know what I mean? You see these people, they focus to this point, they start getting this place of wealth, they start getting these things inside of who they are, and it's because they start to enjoy the process, okay? If you start to enjoy the process of being yourself, then when you overcome challenge, it's only your results that other people are seeing. When someone becomes so focused that the results are success, call this person successful, okay? When they start to achieve things that are massive, that magnitude starts to come out, that mass that other people start to utilize, that our gifts start to become, that our manifestation starts to come out. They start to call you a motivation. And so are you seeing that reflection? Are you seeing what I'm saying? Are you kicking what I'm getting at? Are you hearing what I'm saying? What are you focused into? When you want to go to do work, are you focused or are you emotional? Okay? When you're in a position, all right, when you're given a position, are you holding that position with what you have? You know what I'm saying? Here I am, I got my car working, I'm doing an Uber. You know what, I got an Uber sign and that's it. You know what I mean? Are we in that place? Come on, my friends. Let's pick each other up. Come on, brothers and sisters. Let's get it together. Let's get on that page together. Let's get into that place where our mentality starts to grow, where we start to become blessings, where we start to understand ourselves. We allow others to understand themselves. We start utilizing the Most High God. We start utilizing this universe. We see our own paths, to see our own journeys. We see our own purpose. You know what I mean? Are you able to do that today? Are you able to get into that place where you're utilizing that being, where you're utilizing that level of focus? You know, because your subconscious is controlled by what you program it with, okay? If you're putting into yourself positivity, if you're putting yourself in a place where you're utilizing your mentality, where you're starting to truly become somebody who's focused, then other people will start to see you as a motivation. So I don't buy this when people say I just can't be motivated. All right? That's why I ask myself this question every day. Is what I am doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? Because if it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Are you on that level? Are you on that vibration? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you focusing to where you get the rewards, where you get the ability, where you get the mentality, where what's going on inside of you starts to open up? So at a certain point, you got to get inside of yourself with that. You know what I mean? Where the emotion gets disconnected from your ability to overcome it. And when you start to do so, that student inside starts to open up. When that student inside of you starts to open up, because it's disconnecting, because you're elevating yourself past that place where emotion lays. You know, it's like into a tunnel, okay? If we put you at the beginning of a tunnel, if we put you in that place, if we start to ask you the question, can you get up? Some of you might be crying. Some of you might be scared. Some of you might be, let's get up and start moving. But those movers in life is the place where eventually we got to get to. Those movers in life are the place where we got to overcome. Those movers in life are the ones that we got to believe in ourselves and start to believe in our abilities. And so, are you becoming that kind of mover? Are you starting to access the knowledge that already lays inside of yourself, the exact qualification to be you? And so, when we start doing that, we start to notice that the energy becomes important. The ability to utilize who you are on the inside becomes important. And so that's where breath work comes in. That's where singing, that's where writing, that's where lifting weights and exercising and jogging starts to become available. And when you start to give yourself the ability to want to have some energy, want to have some investment in yourselves. And some of you might do that during video games. Some of you might do that during singing, during music. But you know what I'm talking about. You know that place. And so here we are today talking about that kind of self-mastery. Okay, we're talking about that self being within you. That one who starts to pick you up. That starts to say, I got an upbeat path. Starts to say that you're worth it. And when you start to know that, when you truly start to know that within yourself, that you're worth it, that your values have a place, that you have a place, that you have a journey, that you have a path, that's when you start to grind. Okay, that's when you start to have a reason to get up. Because you are worth it. I recognize this place, okay, as a place of peace. All right, this place, this time, this ability, this vocal meditation, this that I'm kicking out towards you, that you're hearing right now, this kind of energy is liberating within myself. All right, and I'm hoping I'm liberating you at the same time. Because once we start to get to that place of discipline,